Welcome to Modo. Your screen should look something pretty much exactly like mine if you have the Model tab selected in the top left of the screen. If it doesn't, go up to the Layout menu, Layouts, 401 Default Layout. That'll reset your palettes and everything so that they look pretty much exactly like mine. One other customization we want to make sure that we have is in my Wacom tablet properties, I'm using a middle click. If we go middle click, clicks, middle click right here, I can choose that for the second button on my pen, the first button being right click. Those will be important when making selections within Modo. So now we're back in Modo, and the first thing I like to do is hit the 0 on the numpad. That's the 10 key numpad, not the numbers above your keyboard, and that will give you a full screen modeling viewport. Looks nice when you're up on stage. It also is just a really clean way to work. We're going to be using what is called the slash and burn workflow, where we're able to just work on the fly in one big viewport by using a lot of keyboard shortcuts. One such keyboard shortcut will be holding the control key and the space bar and moving your mouse to the lower left of the pie menu that results. I'll then let go of the control and space bars, and that will bring me to a front view. By the way, let me go back to perspective using the same control space and show you how I'm navigating around. Alt key to rotate the view while clicking, Control and Alt to zoom, and Shift and Alt to pan. So play with those and get used to them if you're not already. So here we are in the front view. Control 3 on the keyboard gives me a menu that includes the Tools toolbox, and I can move right up to Basic, move my mouse over the cube, hold the Shift key, and click it. That's going to give me a 1 meter by 1 meter by 1 meter cube, also known as a unit cube. I will then hit the D key, as in dog, on the keyboard 3 times to get a nicely smooth subdivided cube. I'm going to make sure that symmetry is turned on the X-axis. Hold Control 3 again, and this time go down and to the right to Sculpt Paint. That's going to give me a bunch of sculpt tools. I'll go to the Move tool, down to the Soft Brush nozzle, right-click in the viewport to set the size of my brush, and then just start dragging things around. I'm creating a heart shape, so let's just see what we can do. I'm just going to be eyeballing this into place by dragging around little bits of my model. Once you're satisfied that you have a heart that you like, I think that just about does it for me anyway. I'm going to hit the space bar to drop the tool, hold the control key and the space bar and go up and to the right for perspective view again, and I want to rotate the view and show you that the back of this model still looks awful. That's fine, because our final image, we're only looking at the front. So that's my first quick tip for you. When you're hurrying, think about what the final image is and don't waste time on things that don't matter. So front view is all that matters here, so we're going to stop at that. One other thing, right now this is very faceted, right? It's not smooth. If we hit the Tab key on the keyboard, it's going to take all those polygons and smooth them right out for us, and we can see what that will look like in our final image. I'm now going to Control 3, go over to the item list on the right, let go of Control 3, go up to the cube that we've just created, right click it, and go down to Duplicate. It's going to give us a duplicate cube. I click out here, and now you can see that they're kind of right on top of each other. That's why we see the black wireframe of the old heart as well as the shaded new heart. I'm going to turn off symmetry on the X again, and I'm actually also going to unsmooth this model by hitting the Tab key again. I'm going to hit the 3 key on the keyboard. That's the 3 key on the number pad right above the keyboard to switch to polygon selection mode, and then select some of these polygons over here on the side. I can hold the Shift key to select more, or the Control key to select less. Okay, go back to the front view, Control space. Let's see here. I actually want some of these too. Holding the Shift key to select a few more polygons and the Control key maybe to get rid of those. Hit Delete to get rid of those polygons, and now we can thicken this out. Control 3, Tools, and then choose the Thicken tool from the toolbox. And then all I'll do is just drag to the right in my viewport to thicken this out to something that looks about like the thickness of paint that I want to be working with. And hit the space bar. Now I'm going to go back to the perspective view, select any one of these polygons, hit the W key on the keyboard, and just start moving them around. I'm going to be eyeballing these into place. Just it's very loose, whatever we think looks good. We're basically wanting it to look like the paint is splattering off of this surface. And we can use the Move tool to kind of create that effect, at least to start with. Now I'd like to rotate this polygon a little bit, so I'm just going to hit the E key on the keyboard, which gives me the Rotate tool. So I can rotate that right around. Now I'd like to extend this out so that there's a big drip coming off of it. I'll hit the B key on the keyboard. That activates the Bevel tool. I will click in the viewport, and now the Bevel tool is active, and I could start dragging in and out to create a bevel. But rather than dragging, I'll just hit the W key again on the keyboard, and then I can move any direction I want right out. E key again to rotate, and then I'll hit the space bar to drop the tool. I'm going to hold the Shift key and hit the up arrow on the keyboard to expand my selection, but you'll notice that I still have this end polygon selection, so I'm just going to hit the down arrow on the keyboard, not with the Shift key pressed, just the down arrow, and that's going to deselect that first polygon that I had selected. So once again, quickly, with that selected, Shift up arrow and then down arrow, and that selects just the loop. Hit the Alt C on the keyboard and click in the viewport, and that's going to do what's called a loop slice. Now if I hit Control 3 and go to the tools and go down here to the count, you'll see that I can control how many loops are cut into this model. In this case, I'm finding that 6 works pretty well. Hit 6, enter, and hit the space bar to drop the tool. I can now hold Shift and down arrow a couple times to decrease my selection. Hit the R key on the keyboard to give the scale tool, and then hold the Control key while I drag down on one of these handles to make this middle part smaller. And I'll not hold the Control key and drag this one out to kind of bring that out a little bit. Now if I hit the space bar, click in the viewport to deselect, and hit the Tab key, you'll see that that smoothed out starts to look like a drip flying out into space. I'm going to do the same exact process down here. B, click, W, drag, E, rotate, space, Shift up arrow, down arrow, Alt C, click in the viewport, space, Shift down, R, Control drag, drag. Now, that seems like a lot of buttons, but when you get used to it, it's not that bad. I'm going to hit Shift up, and then Shift down once, so that I've got this selection. I'm going to the front view, and I'm going to hit Control E on the keyboard. That's for the bend tool. And then I'll click on one side of the stuff that I want to bend. It's going to give me an automatic setup for this, and I can just bend this right down a little bit. Hit the space bar to drop the tool and click in the viewport to deselect. Hit the Tab key on the keyboard, and that's starting to look pretty good. I want to add one more here, so we'll do the same thing one last time. Select a polygon, B, click, W, move, space, Shift up, down, Alt C, click, space, Shift down, R, Control drag, move. There we go. Now we've got some stuff to work with. Next we're going to move into one more thing before we do some sculpting. We need to add a little bit more geometry over here. I'm going to select 4 of these polygons, B on the keyboard, and click in the viewport. Now, as I bevel these, you're going to see that these polygons are separate. I want them to be together. So I'll hit the Control 3, go over to Tools, and make sure that Group Polygons is selected. Check that, and now you'll see that those are not separate. They're one big set. I'll bring them back in. W key for move. Drag them all the way out. Space. Shift up, down, Alt C, click. Oops. Select a couple polygons. Alt C, click. There we go. I'm going to change the count to get a little bit more geometry. Space bar. And I think that is going to do it for the first part of our modeling session. Next we'll get into a little bit of sculpting.